Part 93. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 921. Regarding Chen Kai's identity as Han Ye, Feng Qingxiu had three more pieces of evidence. Because when the Lu family was looking for Han Ye, it was announced to the outside world that he had a bullet hanging around his neck when he disappeared. It was dug out of Lu Shui's flesh and blood during the anti-Japanese war. He planned to keep it as a souvenir, but it turned out that this baby was very to hang around the neck. As soon as Chen Baoqiu and Wan Quilin heard about this, they immediately took Feng Qingxiu and Chen Xuanyang to make a phone call. The municipal party committee office naturally has a telephone, and Chen Baoqiu knows the phone number of Lu Shui's home. After the call was connected, Lu Shui's loud voice rang on the other end. "Hey, who is it?" Although his voice was loud, it could not conceal his tiredness and anxiety. "Comrade Lu, can't you hear my voice?" Feng Qingxiu took the microphone and said, "If you can't hear it, can I ask Zibao to talk to you? You two know each other well." Lu Shui immediately heard it. "Hey, Zibao's mother, why do you call me when you have time?" Feng Qingxiu did not tell the truth directly and said, "Isn't this Zibao missing Lu Yi? Yesterday I saw a child who looked very much like Lu Yi. I have seen photos of Lu Yi. At first glance, he looked exactly like him. 3 or 4-year-old Lu Yi." Zibao actually remembered Lu Yi. After seeing this child, he clamored to see Lu Yi. "Is Lu Yi with you?" "What did you say?" Lu Shui sat up suddenly and said hurriedly, "You said you saw a 3 or 4-year-old child who looked like Lu Yi." "A little boy. What are his characteristics? Quick, 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 tell me." "There is a small red mole on the forehead." Before he finished his sentence, Lu Yi's eyes were full of tears. "Zioxiu, tell me, where is that child? How did you see him? Is there a bullet hanging around his neck? Quick, tell me quickly." Feng Qingxiu sighed in her heart and pretended to be surprised. "Commander, do you know this child? Ajiang and I went back to our hometown for vacation. My friend picked up this child on the roadside. The family who couldn't find the child officially adopted it. I asked my friend, he picked it up last winter, and there was indeed a bullet hanging around his neck. Then help me take a look and see if there is a blue birthmark on his buttocks, which takes up most of his buttocks." Lu Shui couldn't wait to speak. "There is also a big piece on the left buttocks and groin." "Wait a moment, let me ask. I'm with my friend." Feng Qingxiu turned around and asked Chen Xuanyang, who nodded. "There is such a large birthmark, so it looks right. Tell him that there is a scar on Akai's left arm, which looks like a burn." Feng Qingxiu repeated it to Lu Shui, and the old revolutionary with a military career burst into tears. My grandson, my little grandson Han Ye. He disappeared in the southeast last winter and was dug up. The hearts of my whole family can't be found anywhere, and my mother's eyes are almost blinded by tears. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my friend." He knew that Feng Qingxiu would not make this call for no reason, because the relationship between them was not familiar enough. She must be suspicious of the child's appearance, so she would use Zibao's mouth to convey this information. "Don't be so polite. I just think Lu Yi and this kid are like brothers, that's why I asked." Lu Shui blew his nose and said angrily, "It's a kindness to save a life, a kindness to report a message, how can you say it's polite? Are you in Huihei City? I'll tell the parents of the child to rush over." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 922. Feng Qingxiu didn't understand why the Lu family didn't find Han Ye in the previous life. If Chen Xuanyang had rescued Han Ye, Chen Baoqiu and his wife should have noticed something. After all, Chen Baoqiu was inextricably linked to the higher UPS. He knew that the Lu family had lost a child, and the relationship between Wan Quilin and Chen Xuanyang was not bad. Now is not the last life, everything is unknown. However, Feng Qingxiu was very happy for the Lu family and Han Ye, but she was a little sorry for Chen Xuanyang who adopted Han Ye. Chen Xuanyang was ice snow smart and instantly guessed Feng Qingxiu's thoughts. She couldn't help but smile. What are you embarrassed about? To be honest, I live alone and I'm not used to taking care of children. Even when I picked him up, he called me mother again. I had some compassion and adopted him. Now, he can return to his parents, and he has such a good family, I am happy for him. The future of a son of a good prostitute and the grandson of a founding father could not be more different. Therefore, Chen Xuanyang is sincerely happy for Chen Qi. Back at the Cheng family, Wang Quilin couldn't help but sigh with emotion. I didn't expect something like this to happen to the Lu family. It's been stormy recently and we haven't heard any news at all. Who is so bold and dares to steal Lu Shui's little grandson? Yes, what grudges are there? There was no way of knowing, not even anyone present could know. Therefore, Feng Qingxiu and Lu Zhang did not stay long and left quickly. Originally, the couple wanted to go find Zhao Anbang, but Cheng Baoqiu told them that Zhao Anbang was on a business trip. Lu Zhang kept his promise and took Feng Qingxiu straight to the waste collection station, successfully entering under the guise of waste utilization, because the old leader had a saying that corruption and waste are great crimes. The staff at the scrap station couldn't help but muttered, "Why do people always come here to buy used goods?" Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu looked at each other. There were smart people everywhere in the world. It seemed that someone had already arrived first. Does anyone come here often? What kind of used goods do they buy? Feng Qingxiu asked with a smile. Buy some old furniture and take it home to renovate, or buy some old newspapers and books to take home and paste on the walls. Because I don't have tickets, I can't buy good furniture at all, so I have to make it myself. Isn't that why you are here? Lu Zhang said hurriedly, yes, we just want to make a few beds and 2 pieces of furniture for the children at home who are of marriageable age. The contents inside are more than 10 times more than the county scrapyard, and the probability of valuable cultural relics and antiques appearing is extremely high. Under the cover of Lu Zhang, Feng Qingxiu did the trick easily and neatly. There were too many scraps and no one would notice the disappearance of small items. Because it was a theft, Feng Qingxiu felt uncomfortable, so she followed the same example and took 2 finger-sized small yellow croakers with a total weight of more than 70 grams, and asked Lu Zhang to hand them over to the staff at the waste station, saying that they were found in a cabinet drawer. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 923. Feng Qingxiu didn't dare to mention the hidden compartment because she was worried that the staff at the scrapyard and the people who ransacked the house would beat and smash the valuable furniture, and if they couldn't find the hidden compartment, they would split it open, just to check whether there was any hidden compartment. Valuable objects. It is much simpler to say that the drawer can be opened at any time. The other party was indeed very happy. He praised them for a while and stopped staring at them when they were rummaging for things. Of course, the staff member also opened all the furniture drawers one after another and left only after finding that they were empty. In the evening, when the sky was dark, the mule cart that Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu borrowed from the brigade was packed with many valuable furniture parts and junk metal, as well as 2 bundles of old newspapers and textbooks, among which the most valuable what she collected was the self-study series of mathematics, physics, and chemistry, which was a must-have material for the college entrance examination 10 years later. Feng Qingxiu picked it up as soon as she saw it. When Lu Zhang took apart a Jiangong bed and a pair of cabinets, he also discovered the secret compartment and the treasures inside. After returning home with a full load, Feng Qingxiu smiled particularly happily. We must live frugally and save money in the future, Feng Qingxiu announced loudly on the way home. How sad would it be if you met your favorite cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings but had no money? In the 1970s and 1980s, it was an era when money could be used to buy antiques. Otherwise, how could people take away a large number of cultural relics from the catastrophe period from the cultural relics department at low prices? Rely on money, and also rely on money to buy antiques in the hands of ordinary people. Lu Zhang thought for a while and said, "When I go back, I will dig out all the gold in my house. This is not a time of war. Compared with the cultural heritage that is about to be annihilated, the value of gold is negligible." "That's fine, put it in the space after you get it out, and take it out whenever you use it." Feng Qingxiu agreed with Lu Jiang's meaning. "Jiang, you said that if we give the cultural relics that the Trade Department is preparing to export to, what will happen if you steal it? Or put a sum of gold in it and let them exchange it for foreign currency?" Lu Zhang knocked on her head and shattered her whims. "How do you steal? Are you flying to the sky and escaping to the earth?" "Yes, with my ability, I can easily sneak in and clear the way for you, because in the eyes of the world, cultural relics the value is not high, and the guard should not be too tight. If you open a lock and enter it, I can take you in. But what about the future? How will you take it out when the weather is calm?" The things were seen by others, so the thief who stole the cultural relics that year has been found. Feng Qingxiu held her face and smiled. "How can I steal it and send it back when the time comes? Maybe people think it's a miracle, because gods can't bear to let their country's cultural heritage wander overseas, so they give it to steal it, give it a sum of gold in exchange for foreign currency, and then return it to people for study and appreciation when the country stops destroying cultural heritage." Lu Zhang said amusingly, "Do you think there are gods in the world? They also have their own country. Then how do you explain the existence of space? Isn't this a magical method? I always thought that God must not have the heart to reward me with a magical space so that I can save these cultural relics that have been lost in the long river of history. In fact, God's greatest kindness was that her arrival changed the life of the man in front of him." Feng Qingxiu stared at him with a pair of bright eyes, full of affection. Lu Jiang's heart was shaken and he couldn't speak for a long time. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 924. In the next few days, Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu temporarily put aside their plans to join the Kahua Brigade. They left early and returned late every day. They often changed their appearance and visited various waste depots in Huihei City and its surrounding counties. They spent hundreds of yuan and a few small yellow croakers, collecting most of the valuable cultural relics into the space, and also appeared in the black market, exchanging money and food for many antiques. Once at the city scrap station, the couple met Huan Qingbei by chance. They both pretended not to know each other and searched for their own goals. With the end of the series, under Cheng Baoqiu's vigorous and resolute methods, a large number of out-of-town students left one after another. The smashing, burning and other house confiscation activities instantly decreased a lot, and the number of cultural relics, calligraphy, paintings, and other things transported to the scrap station naturally also decreased. The movement is still going on, and there are reports of house raids from time to time, but it's just not as crazy as it was at the beginning. Of course, it is also because most of the cultural relics and antiques have been burned in less than half a year, and because most of the celebrities with bad background have already fallen into trouble, and the rest are just fish that slip through the net, that is, ordinary people, living in fear. Feng Qingxiu was so tired that her eyes were green and black, and her expression was haggard. Lu Zhang said distressedly, "Rest at home today." If he hadn't been able to defeat Feng Qingxiu, he would have stopped saving cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings long ago. No matter how precious those things are, can they be compared to Feng Qingxiu? Feng Qingxiu rubbed her eyes and yawned. "Okay, then you go and see the child. You and Xiaoun will cook at noon, and I will take a nap. She rushed back from the next county last night and arrived home in the middle of the night to wash up. I was so disgraced that after tidying up, it was almost 1 or 2 in the morning, and I got up to cook again at 5 or 6. I really couldn't stand it right now. Go to sleep, Lu Zhang tucked her in before taking his daughter out. Feng Qingxiu closed her eyes and slept until mid-afternoon. She suddenly felt refreshed. She looked at her watch and suddenly heard a stranger's voice outside. She quickly got up and dressed, fixed her makeup, and opened the straw bead curtain. Go out. Feng Qingxiu doesn't know what the name of the grass beads is, but plants with grass beads can be found all over the mountains and plains. Diligent families will pick them and tie them with twine to serve as door curtains. Girls who love beauty will pick some and wear them as bracelets on the wrist, or hung as a necklace around the neck. No one will say that they are living a capitalist life. Ajiang, Feng Qingxiu put down the curtain and called out, and she could clearly see the situation in the room. Lu Zhang was accompanying Chen Xuanyang and talking to a middle-aged couple. Next to the couple sat a woman in her 30s, holding tightly in her arms Chen Qi, who was frowning and pouting with an unhappy face. They heard Feng Qingxiu's voice and turned to look at her at the same time. Qingxiu, you're awake. As Chen Xuanyang's voice sounded, the middle-aged couple stood up together with the woman holding Chen Qi. Yes, I'm awake. I'm sorry, I'm sleeping while you are guests at our house. It's really rude. After Feng Qingxiu apologized, she complained a few words to Lu Zhang, and continued, let me guess, I guess the distinguished guests coming to the house are Lu Yi's parents and sister, right? I've heard Madame Guoyan mention the situation at Lu Shui's house before. The middle-aged woman stepped forward and held Feng Qingxiu's hand, with tears in her eyes. Yes, hello, Comrade Qingxiu, I am Han Bing, he is my husband Lu Jinhua, and there are Lu Yi and Xiaobeo's eldest sister Lu Ying. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 925. Feng Qingxiu said hurriedly, hello comrades, have you had a hard time coming all the way? I'll pour you some water. No, no, no hard work, no hard work, Han Bing kept saying, choked with sobs. When we knew the child was with you, we wished we could put on our wings and fly over. But the plane was out of service, so we could only take the fastest flight. The train was on its way, so I arrived in Huihei City early this morning and found Comrade Chen Xuanyang's house based on the address you left for my dad. She couldn't describe how excited she was when she saw her little son. She could only hold her son and cry loudly, crying out the fear she had felt over the past 6 months, and the thoughts she had missed day and night over the past 6 months. Even Lu Jinhua, a tough-minded soldier, couldn't help but shed tears. Chen Xuanyang interjected, Xiaoxiu, thanks to you, Qi can be reunited with his family. He actually recognized Comrade Lu Jinhua and Comrade Han Bing. I was confused. He remembered his parents, so why did he call me mother? Speaking of this, Chen Xuanyang couldn't help but ask Chen Qi in Lu Ying's arms. Mom, Chen Qi shouted to Chen Xuanyang, without any explanation. He struggled hard, slipped out of Lu Ying's arms, rushed towards Chen Xuanyang, and opened his hands to hug her legs. Mom, I want brother Zibao. 11 Bao. By the way, where is 11 Bao? And Fu Bao? Feng Qingxiu asked why there was something missing in the house. Lu Jiangdao, Lu Yi came with the 3 notices. Zibao had already taken him out to watch the mules and horses. Tianzi and Au followed, and Xiaoun was holding Fu Bao. Probably there were so many people and it was so lively that Fu Bao wouldn't be there. Ken is staying in the house. Feng Qingxiu nodded, lowered her head and said to Chen Qi, brother Zibao is outside, will I take you out to find him later? Okay, Chen Qi immediately urged, hurry up, find your brother, find your sister. Feng Qingxiu glanced at Lu Jinhua and Han Bing. She thought that the couple had just found their child, and they must be reluctant to let the child leave her eyes, otherwise Lu Ying would not hold her little brother so tightly. As expected by Feng Qingxiu, Lu Ying said, "I will accompany my sister-in-law to take Xiaobao out to play." "Comrade Lu Ying, I'll go with you and let Xiaoxia greet your parents." Chen Xuanyang was very considerate. "How does it feel like your family has come a long way and the master is not at home?" Compared to Feng Qingxiu, Chen Qi was naturally closer to Chen Xuanyang, so he decided happily. When there were only two couples left in the room, Han Bing said, "Comrade Qingxiu, please accept my thanks again." "Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you for calling my father-in-law because the two children look alike. Your phone call is like the rain during the 3-year drought, which relieves our family's anxiety." Feng Qingxiu said hurriedly, "There are billions of creatures all over the world with similar faces. It was because Zibao mentioned Lu Yi, and I always felt that the two children were related, that I made that call on a whim. Wan, I didn't expect it to really matter." Han Bing wiped away her tears. "That's why we have to thank you for your whim." "Have you caught the person who harmed this child?" Feng Qingxiu hated people who stole and murdered children the most in her life. "Caught it." Han Bing calmed down. "It's Ding Maifen. Our family spends 30 yuan a month to hire a nanny to take care of our children. She has a husband and a son. How could she escape our pursuit? Now she was sentenced to life imprisonment. However, after the interrogation, we learned that she later sold the child to someone else, so we lost the whereabouts of the child." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 926. Han Bing did not elaborate on why Ding Maifen had the audacity to sell Han yet. Feng Qingxiu felt that it might involve something that was not humane to outsiders, so she did not ask further questions to satisfy her curiosity. "Now that the evildoers are punished, your family is reunited. It can be said that good and evil will be rewarded in the end. Without the kindness of Comrade Chen Xuanyang, who saved Xiaobao from the ice and snow, and without your phone call to let us know Xiaobao's whereabouts, we would not have been reunited as a family now." Han Bing firmly cherished this kindness. "I remember it in my heart, Comrade Qingxiu. We will never forget your life-saving grace, and we will definitely repay you in the future." Feng Qingxiu smiled slightly. "We never save people for future rewards." Lu Zhenhua said solemnly, "Yes, we just need to remember it. The kindness of a drop of water is repaid by a spring, let alone the kindness of saving a life." They did not stay at the Lu family for long and left quickly, probably due to the situation. Lu Yi, Chen Qi, and 11 Bao held hands and looked at each other with tears in their eyes. "You pulled me, I pulled you, tightly. They both refused to let go. Don't leave. We want to play together," Zibao said loudly. Lu Yi turned to look at his parents. "I don't want to leave either. I want to play with Zibao. It's so fun here." Lu Zhenhua and Han Bing firmly rejected their son's request. Feng Qingxiu could only say to Zibao softly, "Zibao, please let your brother and brother go back with their parents. When you are free, your parents will take you to the capital to play with brother Lu Yi and his brother. Keep your word." Zibao glanced at his mother. Feng Qingxiu nodded, "Keep your word." "Pull the hook." Zibao and Feng Qingxiu hooked their hands together. "Hang yourself with the hook, and it won't change for 100 years. Finally the children who were stuck together were separated. The child was separated, but Chen Qi and Chen Xuanyang could not be separated. 2 days later, Feng Qingxiu and Lu Zhang went to the city. They learned from Chen Baoqiu and Wang Quilin that Chen Xuanyang had gone to the capital with the Lu family. The Lu family used due to some connections. Chen Xuanyang's job was subsequently transferred. Chen Qi probably has a nestling complex. Chen Xuanyang saved him, Even if he remembered his biological parents, he was not willing to leave Chen Xuanyang. Oh, by the way, Wan Qilan took out a heavy package and handed it to Feng Qingxiu. Xuanyang asked me to give it to you before she left. There is a letter she wrote inside, and she should explain something. As soon as Feng Qingxiu took it in her hand, her wrists sank. Lu Zhang quickly held it underneath, avoiding the tragedy of the baggage falling to the ground. What is it? It's so heavy. Wan Qilan smiled slightly after listening to Feng Qingxiu's words. It's Xuanyang's savings, and the old bicycles are also left to you. Don't think that your third uncle and I are very important in Huihei City, and we have to be careful at ordinary times. She feels more comfortable leaving it to you. When Feng Qingxiu returned home and opened the letter, she found that it was indeed what Wan Qilan said. Chen Xuanyang said that Lu Zhenhua and his wife told her that the Lu family would definitely return to the capital in the future and would not stay in the border battlefield forever. Even Chen Baoqiu and his wife would not stay in Huihei City forever. In addition, Chen Qi couldn't live without her, so Chen Xuanyang took the first step and went to work in the capital. She could leave, but she couldn't take half her life savings with her, so she asked Feng Qingxiu to keep them for her. Feng Qingxiu opened the bag and took a look, and was almost blinded by the jewels inside. The jewelry boxes contained valuable gold, jewelry, and jade, and several of them were tributes from the Qing palace. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 927. Chen Xuanyang confessed in the letter that a red brocade box in the bag was given to Fu Bao as a meeting gift she prepared for Fu Bao. Because in local customs, girls do not wear long life locks. If there is a long life lock, the girl will be locked in her natal family and unable to get married. How did the custom form and what does it mean? Feng Qingxiu cannot understand it. Got it? Therefore, Chen Xuanyang gave Fu Bao a set of jewelry, which will be enough to be used as a dowry when he grows up. It is so beautiful that it can be called a set of elegant and priceless jewelry. It is inlaid with filigree and embellished with many dong beads and gemstones. There are 3 pairs of dong pearl earrings and a plate of court beads made of dong pearls. There are 4 jadeite beads on the bead string. A memorial made of beads and some tourmaline, agate, and coral. The jewelry even includes 4 long nail sets. The luster is not bright enough, but it is exquisite. Lu Zhang took a look and said, the color of the East pearl is like light gold. It is the best among East pearls. Only the Empress Dowager and Empress are qualified to wear it. Especially the Chao pearl. Apart from the Emperor, only the Empress Dowager and Empress, or special the royal concubine in the situation. The imperial concubine is equivalent to the deputy concubine. When there is no queen, the imperial concubine will rule the harem. Her clothes are almost the same as those of the queen. Do you still need to tell me? I also know this kind of rule, since it was given to Fu Bao by Chen Xuanyang. Feng Qingxiu was not polite and put it into the space alone and gave it to Fu Bao later, while the others were repackaged. The income space will be returned to Chen Xuanyang next time she sees her. Although Chen Xuanyang's gold jewelry is indeed very valuable, Feng Qingxiu doesn't have any greed at all. It's not like she doesn't have it. I knew that Xuanyang had a lot of jewelry items that she had saved during her childhood, but I didn't expect that there would be so many and they would be so valuable. Feng Qingxiu sighed to Lu Zhang, Xuanyang's love for 11 Bao, that's so generous. I used to give Zibao a mutton fat white jade long life lock and a pair of shrimp beard bracelets. The shrimp beard bracelets in Dream of Red Mansions were worn by children. Did I tell you? Lu Zhang thought for a while. I think I said that. That's what I said. Feng Qingxiu sighed. There is no lesbian in the world who doesn't like beautiful jewelry. I also like it very much. I have a lot of them in the space, many times more than Xuanyang's. It could be dozens or hundreds of times more. But in this world, no one dares to let their jewelry see the light of day. It's really hard to explain. You have a lot of jewelry? Why didn't I know? The jewelry that she and her father gave her couldn't compare to the amount that Chen Swiniang entrusted to her, right? There is one underground, but it hasn't been raised yet? Feng Qingxiu sighed, didn't I tell you? No. Oh, Feng Qingxiu didn't hide anything, and said truthfully, during the 2 years of the famine, I exchanged grain for many antique jewelry items. Uncle Su and their friends almost all came to me in exchange for grain. It was a huge profit. Later, after the famine passed, I traded with Shen Fiheng several times. When I had time to go to the black market or flea market, I would buy it with money or exchange it with food. Tianwan and Aiken also bought a lot of things. They were all left to me while I was at home. Unknowingly, she became an invisible rich woman. When the value of jewelry and antiques increases in a few decades, she will not donate them to the country but sell them all. Can she win the title of the richest woman and wear it for a while? Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 928. Lu Zhang touched her head and said, Wife, you ignored your own safety in the black market before. I won't settle the score with you now. In the future, you just have to keep your promise to me and don't take risks. But, I suddenly discovered that you extraordinarily whimsical. I'm telling the truth, why am I so whimsical? Feng Qingxiu made a big face at him. A century of war has left us devastated. Since the founding of the People's Republic of China, everything has been in ruins. After concerted efforts, the atomic bomb and the hydrogen bomb have been successfully developed one after another, strengthening the country's armed equipment. The economy has finally improved, but there is such a turmoil again. In an instant, in the meantime, talents in various industries are withering, students' studies are interrupted, and successors are unable to succeed. I think this movement is likely to continue. In this case, national development will be affected. When will the value of jewelry and antiques really rise? At that level, at least when the country is prosperous and peaceful, the country is prosperous and the people are prosperous, and the economy is prosperous, only wealthy people will develop a large-scale collection. Feng Qingxiu nodded, you're right, I'm just waiting for that time. Lu Zhang laughed, however, at the current level, under the vigorous activities, all walks of life have been paralyzed, and the economy has shrunk. It will be difficult to reach the level I told you in less than 180 years. Ajiang, how about we make a bet? What bet? 10 years from now, the economy will take off and then continue to develop. 30 years from now, the country will be rich and the people are strong. And in more than 10 years, no one will care about our clothes and label us as capitalist, Feng Qingxiu said loudly. Lu Zhang was stunned after hearing this. Feng Qingxiu tilted her head and looked at him, why, you don't dare to bet? Are you afraid that I will win? I hope you will win, which means that our country is prosperous and strong, the people live and work in peace and contentment, and the brothers who are sleeping underground can rest in peace, Lu Zhang finally said, but according to the current situation. Just tell me whether you dare to gamble. If you take a gamble, you will win or lose in 30 years, Feng Qingxiu interrupted him, don't always use the current situation as an example. Now does not mean the future, because the country's policies are ever changing. So fast that it catches you off guard. Under the leadership of different leaders, different national policies will be issued. You can't deny this, right? Lu Zhang nodded first, then thought for a moment, then shook his head decisively, no gambling. Feng Qingxiu said unhappily, why? Are you afraid of losing? It doesn't matter if you lose, you have nothing to lose. Because my wife, you are so smart. According to what you said, you will definitely start capitalism and vigorously develop the economy in the future. Lu Zhang would not be a fool who bets with his wife. Sometimes I wonder if you know something. Just like when you wrote to Mr. Lu Xiaoning and Lin Yufan, How did you expect that the order from above would be directed at the academic world? Feng Qingxiu just played dumb with him. Don't you know? I've always been smart. Zibao is bragging. Wife, you are so smart. Lu Zhang paused deliberately and patted her silly smile. You are really smart, and you are clever, so you don't need to pretend to be stupid with me. Feng Qingxiu slapped his hand off. I won't tell you any more. I practice calligraphy and painting, and I will ask the teacher for advice at night. After becoming a disciple, I focused on rescuing cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings that were about to be destroyed, and never focused on my studies. Sin. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 929. When Ruyu knew that Feng Qingxiu was quite busy, so she did not blame her at all for not coming to perform her duties as a student for several days in a row. Instead, she handed her some of the key points of painting techniques that she had recently handwritten. You can find me some more pen and paper, and while you are at home and I have the energy, I can write out all my previously unpublished manuscripts. When you return to the army and I am not here with you, you can study my works. Practice with concentration. As a leading figure in the painting world, Wen Ruyu has written more than a dozen works on the appreciation and techniques of calligraphy and painting. Some have been published and are widely known, while some unpublished manuscripts that are still being compiled were burned when he was in trouble. He did not want his hard work to be lost. So when I accepted Feng Qingxiu as my disciple, I started to think about writing it again. Feng Qingxiu said respectfully, I will send it to the teacher tomorrow. Are you accustomed to using a pen or a brush? Of course it's a writing brush. I'm not used to using fountain pens. I feel uncomfortable no matter how I use them. I have used writing brushes all my life, and I only used fountain pens recently when I was writing a self-reflection letter. However, the old man hates fountain pens deeply. Okay, I'll prepare a brush and ink for you. Wen Ruyu said willfully, don't use ink in the bottle. The writing will not look good at all. Is there an ink stone? Is there an ink spindle? The ink ground with an ink spindle is better to use than the ink in the bottle. Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, they are all there, they are all there. If not, I will find a way to find them for you. She really has these treasures in her space, including priceless inkstones and hundreds of years of pine smoke ink, all of which were found on the black market. There are also probably lake pens. She remembers that Father Lu also gave her a set of the 4 treasures of the study before. If not, go to some old stores to buy them to get rid of the old thinking. These old stores have basically closed down, but the goods have not been completely damaged. After hearing this, Wen Ruyu nodded with satisfaction, holding the flashlight Feng Qingxiu brought. The old man shone on a meticulous painting Feng Qingxiu brought, carefully looking at it bit by bit, and couldn't help but frown. Feng Qingxiu mentioned Wen Ruyu's meticulous painting of a beautiful lady. Wen Ruyu suddenly realized, I said, why this painting of yours looks so familiar to me. It turned out to be a copy of the painting of a lady I had in my middle age. I remember that I gave that painting away, but now I don't know where it is. Where did you see it? Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, what do you think I and Ajiang are busy with during this time? I didn't come to learn from you. We were hiding in the scrapyard in the city, secretly taking out the cultural relics and antiques that flowed into the scrapyard. Then they hid it in a deserted place. The money spent is a small thing, but the main thing is that it takes a lot of effort and fear. I dug out your painting from the waste paper, but the picture is slightly damaged and needs to be restored later. Wen Ruyu was dumbfounded for a moment, then immediately praised her, it should be. Studying at this time is a small matter, but saving the national cultural heritage is a big deal. It's a big deal. We have a long time to study, don't be in a hurry, don't be in a hurry, as long as my old man, as long as you are alive, I will teach you carefully. But once you enter the factory, those cultural heritages are really gone. Having said this, the old man burst into tears with a look of sorrow on his face. Your uncle Huang Qinghong is an expert in ancient culture research and works in a history museum. All the precious books he collected were burned down. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 930. The number of rooms available in the bullpen is limited. 2 teachers from the brigade and several scholars from Huihei City live in a Daitongbu room. Wen Yu and Ansu live in a separate room. The rest is shared by Father Lu and the old people from the capital. 1. Therefore, when Feng Qingxiu asked Wen Ruyu for advice, all the elderly people from the capital were present except Wen Yu. Naturally, Lu's father was also there, and Lu Zhang came with his daughter and his wife in his arms, making it a gathering. After hearing Wen Ruyu's words, Huang Qinghong, who had been silent all this time, raised his head and whispered, "It's been burning for a long time." What followed was a long sigh from the old man and tears streaming down his face. "Isn't it the same in our family? My collection of books, calligraphy, and paintings were all piled up in the yard and burned to ashes." Jinruoku followed up, "They also pressed my head on the ground and asked me if I was convinced. Apart from persuasion, I could say what? Take it, take it, take it, they are bastards. The collection of paintings in my hand alone weighs more than 200 kilograms. If they confiscate it, it will line their own pockets, or it will end up in the scrapyard. At least there will be a glimmer of hope. We're left in the world, but they were all burned, burned, burned to nothing." Zhu Ling sighed, "Who says it's not the case? But what can we do? We're just lucky enough to save our lives." He and his wife were engaged in translation and were also writers. Their collection of domestic and foreign masterpieces were also burned. Not only that, they were also insulted and beaten, and were almost beaten to death. If they hadn't had a better relationship with Wen Ruyu and Jinruoku and were quickly brought here by Kui Xiaoyuan, they would have committed suicide long ago because they couldn't bear the torture. Jinruoku stamped his feet. "I don't understand. What does the revolution have to do with our academic world? It came so suddenly, so quickly, without any psychological preparation, and it was over. Give me some time to hide the books, calligraphy, and paintings." Huang Qinghong burst into tears and laughed. "If you had time, do you think you would be like this? I would be like this too. What a pity. Oh, by the way, Mr. Huang." Huang Qinghong interrupted Feng Qingxiu, "You have accepted Lao Wen as your teacher, so call me uncle." Feng Qingxiu immediately changed her mind. "Uncle Huang, do you know Mr. Huang Qingbei? I met him at the scrap collection station. I didn't ask for your permission. I didn't tell him you were here." Huang Qinghong patted her forehead. "Oh, yes, Xiao Songshu works in the Huihei Municipal Cultural Relics Bureau." After thinking for a while, Huang Qinghong sighed, "Tell him if you have a chance. Let him not worry about me, do his own thing, be careful, and don't let others find out. These days, those who devote themselves to cultural research will not end well." Feng Qingxiu felt sad after hearing this. She left the cowshed and returned home. After her daughter fell asleep, she suddenly looked at Lu Zhang with bright eyes. How could Lu Zhang not understand his wife's thoughts? After pondering for a moment, he said, "You can do whatever you want during these few months of vacation. The child will be taken care of anyway, but you are not allowed to act alone. Thank you, Ajiang, for your indulgence in me without a word. Fool, I am your husband, and of course I will fulfill any wish you have. Moreover, you are not doing these things for your own selfish reasons, but for the elders in your family, and to save our country's cultural heritage. In the end, it still does not belong to us. Yes, Lu Zhang flicked her nose, all I can do is stay with you. Go through fire and water, even to death. It's 10 chapters, please vote. It's the end of the month. If you don't vote for the monthly vote, when will it be updated?